guys, so I just came back from the Superman movie. Well, I just came back from filming the spoiler-free review. This is the spoiler review. I probably put a disclaimer before this. Spoilers ahead. Like, big spoilers. Like, I basically tell you the whole plot of the movie. If you don't care about that, or you're here after the movie and want to hear my opinion, great. Just make sure you listen to this part. Spoilers ahead. I put it on the thumbnail, put it in the title, put it now, add a warning at the beginning. So if you get mad at me for spoiling it, this is on you. Okay? First I'm going to show you guys what I got. I actually had this on for the spoiler-free review. I'll show it to you guys. No posters for this one, but they did give you this awesome Superman pin. It looks great. It is just like the symbol in the movie, obviously. But it's a high-quality pin, too. Since they're, like, mass-producing these everywhere, it's really high quality. You'd think it would be a little less high quality, but it's, like, Disneyland pin level. That's high level, because Disney does pins well, because that's, like, their whole thing at Disneyland. Pin trading. It's kind of dying out now, though. I grew up a Disney kid, so I know all the pin trading stuff. I've been to Disneyland 12 times. 12 times. Almost all my vacations out of the state have been to Disneyland. It's not a bad thing, but I've been to Disneyland many times. And Disney World. I've only been to Disney World 2 times. So, anyways, back to the stuff. So, pin free. It might just be the first day thing. So, if you're planning on going the day this comes out, quickly book a ticket. Because the movie theater was packed when we got there early. So we had reserved seats, of course, because it's Cinemark. But we got there early, and there wasn't a ton of people, but there was still some people in there. And then it got way packed. But, packed movie theaters are usually bad. This one was fine. There wasn't as much kids. There were just huge nerds like me that are 13 to 85. Like, it was mostly people out of their teens. Like, there were a lot of middle-aged dudes there. Like, specifically middle-aged dudes. Which sounds right. But there were large audience, not much kids, surprisingly. But, I mean, with at least my family, before my sister watches something, someone in the family will often watch it first. I can definitely say it's okay for her. I don't know if we'll see it in theaters again. Maybe, but it doesn't feel like it. Anyways, let's talk about the merch first. If you saw my spoiler-free review, you can skip this part because I already showed it to you. But if you're just here for the spoiler review, I will show you. They still have the stuff in them, too, because we got refills, and I didn't really eat them in the car because I was already full. This is the popcorn bucket I got. I went with my grandpa, and I paid for the tickets, so he got me a bunch of stuff. I tried to stop him, but he let me get him. This is the Superman popcorn bucket. It looks great. It looks really good. It looks really good. It has Fortress of Solitude behind him. These crystals are actually 3D. It's pretty cool. Like, when I was holding it, I was, like, feeling it while I was watching the movie, and it feels nice. It's a high-quality popcorn bucket, and I'm a popcorn bucket aficionado. I have quite a few popcorn buckets. This is a great one. Even on the inside, you can't really see it very good, but it has the crystal coloring. Like, it's painted almost. It looks great. It's just a great popcorn bucket and great popcorn. Anyways, on to the next item. One more. The cup. Superman cup. It says Superman in big letters on it. It has Superman, of course, and Krypto. I love how Krypto is in this movie. Krypto was the best. It's the Fortress of Solitude behind them again. There were multiple different designs for popcorn buckets and cups. I just preferred these designs because the Fortress of Solitude crystals look awesome. I don't know if they're called anything, the crystals, because I don't do a ton of DC stuff, so if they're called something, get mad at me all you want, but now on to why I don't know DC very well. I was never really a DC fan, mostly because of the movies. I didn't really read the comics because I thought they were like the movies, the Snyder movies specifically, because those were the only movies I really knew about until recently, actually. I didn't think about the old movies too much. I thought they were similar as well. It's way good. It's really good. I saw the trailer and I was like, this feels better. Because the Snyder movies are like dark and gritty and trying to be really cool. They're trying to be hip with the kids and nobody cares. It's just not good. I'm not going to talk about Snyder crap for too long. Just didn't like it. Superman didn't feel like Superman in the Snyder movies. Killing people, breaking his own rules. Superman doesn't kill people. Just, I didn't like it. I didn't really watch it at all either. I've watched clips and parts. I don't really watch any of the Snyder crap. That's all I have to say. But this is way different. I know there's movies before that are better too and more like this, but I didn't know about that before. I might go back and watch the older movies. Not Batman and Robin, though, because I've heard that's also horrible. Great movie. I love this movie. It didn't feel like a Guardians movie either, because that was people's biggest concern. They don't want it to be like Guardians. It didn't feel like Guardians whatsoever. It had the bold and bright colors of Guardians movies, because there are bold and bright colors in quite a few Guardians movies. Well, all three Guardians movies, but I don't know why I said quite a few. It was great. It was colorful. It looked like a comic book movie, unlike the Snyder movies. I'm sorry, I'm dissing on them. If you're a Snyder fan, I'm sorry. But please leave that cold. I'm sorry, I'm making it worse. Anyways, it was a great movie. It looked like a comic book. The dialogue was good, too. It wasn't cringy. I thought it'd be a little more cringy because this is supposed to be a family-friendly movie. But the dialogue wasn't cringy. Superman talks like you would expect Superman to... Oh my gosh, I keep bumping my Oculus and it keeps charging again. Talked like Superman would, especially with kids around. He wouldn't swear. Clark did swear a bit, but he's not the same person, basically. He did have hypno glasses, which made people see his face differently, which explains the whole glasses on, can't tell who he is stuff. I didn't like that also, but this makes more sense. He also acted differently as Clark. He acted a little more shy and goofy and cringy and just socially awkward. There was also a different person when he was with people who knew he was Superman. He was a little different. He was kind of a mix of the two. Like the confident, outgoing guy and the socially awkward, boring guy. Molded into one, and he acted great. Great Superman actor. He was perfect. Lois was great. Everyone was great. That's all I have to say. The story, though, is what really got me. I really liked the story. So I'm going to tell you about the biggest plot points in the Superman movie. There's been great fights. The first fight was kind of the fight with the Hammer of Bravia that he kind of got clowned on in. And it actually turns out that the Hammer of Bravia was Ultraman, a similar superhero with similar powers, but he works for Lex. That's all we know about Ultraman at first. Then, later, he fights this kaiju. And Lex is trying to create that. He released this kaiju as a distraction to stop Superman from finding out that they're raiding the Fortress of Solitude to find more info on him. Anyways, he fights the kaiju. It's an awesome scene. He was planning on taking the kaiju to some sort of scientific facility, maybe an intergalactic zoo, he said, or something like that, until the Justice Gang arrives, and they start beating up this kaiju. They start poking him in the eye and stuff and being just mean to him. And then Mr. Terrific sends the T-Spheres into the kaiju and blow up his guts and kill the kaiju, which is extremely messed up, and Superman didn't like that. And that's kind of the end of that part. And then Lex was looking in the Fortress of Solitude, and he found that video talking to Superman when he grows up and is able to see the video that was sent back with him from Krypton. And they talked to him, and part of it was broken. Part of the message was, what would you say? Corroded. Corrupt. That's better than corroded. because just the force of him hitting Earth, or something hit the sphere. I'm guessing it's the sphere pod-looking thing that's been in other stuff. But he couldn't read it until the engineer comes and uses her nanotech to fix the file. And then Lex is like, oh, this is perfect, because in the video, they say that Kal-El, or Clark, should take over the planet to continue Krypton's rule. And Lex he's happy, and he posts this video. Well, he sends it to the news, and he talks on the news about it. Then everyone hates Superman, and yeah, it's kind of the end to that time. And Superman comes back to Lois, and he turns himself in and all that. I really liked Metamorpho. Metamorpho was awesome, especially with Baby Joey. Baby Joey was a little cutie. I really liked that story. He was keeping Superman contained with kryptonite. They were threatening Baby Joey. He turns off the kryptonite, gets rid of it from his body. But Superman doesn't heal, so he makes the yellow sun that heals Superman. And he's back, and he goes and gets Baby Joey. And there's like a whole fight scene in this pocket dimension. It's awesome. I'm not going to explain everything, because I don't want to explain everything. It will take a minute. They have this big old fight. There's a black hole in this dimension. There's all sorts of weird stuff, because it's just a weird pocket dimension that Lex created. He made it in a really janky way, too. He, like, recreated a tiny Big Bang that made a whole other universe in this certain dimension. It doesn't really explain it a ton. I haven't seen Peacemaker either. Apparently in Peacemaker they're explained a little better. Haven't seen that. I don't know, is it rated MA? I'll have to check after making this video, because I might want to see it. Anyways, they get out of the pocket dimension, but it's all screwed up. Like, it's collapsing on itself, it's opening up. Mr. Terrific is trying to stop it, but Lex thinks it's a great idea to just open this whole thing up. Let it loose on the world, and they open this crack that starts spreading and spreading. So Lex was actually working with Bravia, because you know how the hammer of Bravia was Ultraman. Bravia then invades that other country. I can't pronounce the name, it was super weird. They go and try to invade it again. And the people basically have no army because of the last raid, I think, or they just don't have any army in general. They seem like a poor country. So there's just people trying to fight back. And Superman has to choose which one to do. Mr. Terrific tells him to go to Metropolis and help with the crack. He goes there, and Ultraman and the Engineer greet him there. And Mr. Terrific gets absolutely bodied by the Engineer, just absolutely thrown into the ground, and he gets knocked out for a bit. Ultraman and the Engineer start walloping Superman until he falls over, and then the Engineer puts nanotech into his body to try to suffocate him. So it doesn't really explain. Does he need to breathe? I'm sorry, I'm not a big Superman nerd. I don't think he needs to breathe, because he can be in space. Or he can just, I don't know, make oxygen? I doubt it. I think he just doesn't need to breathe, because he didn't die quickly. I don't know if that's the explanation. Maybe he was dying. I don't think so, though. But the Engineer kind of, like, he tries to get away. She kind of basically connects herself to him with nanotech. Ultraman is, like, holding on to him, too. And he starts flying up while this nanotech is all over his face, and he can't see, he can barely breathe. And he goes up really high, like up all the way into space, and then comes back down and absolutely hits the ground, nearly kills the Engineer. But Ultraman was fine. He gets the nanotech out of him in a really gross way, actually. He, like, vomits it up and, like, spits it out and pulls it out of his... Bleh. Anyways, then Ultraman stands up, and Lex is, like, talking through a speaker on him. He pulls off the mask, and it's Superman. It's David Cornswet as Ultraman. So Lex had cloned Superman by finding a hair of his on a battlefield after the battle, which is crazy level of hating on the Superman. Lex is next level. And he fights the Superman while that crack is opening up, just pulling the Pocket Universe into this reality, into Metropolis mostly. And what happens is they kind of go into the crack, they fight in the crack, and there's a black hole that opens. And Ultraman has, like, Superman by the arm, and he kind of is messing up his arm. And what he does is he lets Ultraman crack his arm, and he extends his arm enough for this, like, train car to come and hit Ultraman into the black hole. Which, I don't know if that breaks his rule of not killing people, because, first of all, he didn't really kill him, and he was a mindless clone, so I don't know if he can be considered a person even. I don't know. But he goes into the black hole, God. And Superman goes and confronts Lex. But what's happening in Bravia? Well, in the country. Superman wasn't there to get them. But the Justice Gang were there. I really liked something in this scene where they're in... where Guy Gardner, a.k.a. Green Lantern, a.k.a. Mal from Firefly... not that. A.k.a. Green Lantern... He is flipping these tanks, like just bashing them. But this has actually happened in the comics. I've seen a screenshot from the comics that shows, or snapshot, where it shows him doing this. He, like, had these Green Lantern hands whapping them away, and one of them was the middle finger. And then multiple of them were the middle finger, and then there were a bunch of middle fingers just bashing them all away. Funny scene. And they save the day, and then Hawkgirl comes and finds the president of Baravia, and she, like, flies him out, and he's like, "You won't kill me," and she's like, "Well, I'm not Superman," and just drops him. Just drops him, and he dies, which is crazy. All this is happening while the Daily... I forgot his name. He was the one... I forgot his name. I know they're from the comics, so people know their names. I don't know their names because I haven't read the comics, and they don't say them a ton in the movie. But Lois and some other Daily Beagle reporters, they find out bad things about Lex, how he was working with Bravia. He was giving them tech for free, all this kinds of stuff. He was behind the hammer of Bravia. He cloned Superman, all that. And they release it to the public while this is all happening. And, well, they send it to the news stations, of course. And then Superman is done fighting Ultraman and the engineer. She's still knocked out. She doesn't really wake up at all in this movie. I'm pretty sure she does, and they take her in or whatever, or rehabilitate her. But he goes to LexCorp. What was it called? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I can't believe I forgot that. It was like the big company. Tell me in the comments, or I'll just look it up later. I can put it on the screen right here. He goes there. Actually, the building had been destroyed since, the whole crack in the earth, revealing this pocket universe. And he goes to this little flying part of the building that's still there, the control center. And he just flies straight in, attacks Luthor. And Luthor does, like, the "you can't defeat me, blah, 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 they all hate you." And then while he's saying that, Krypto just comes and absolutely starts shredding him apart. He messes him up a bit, but not a ton. He rips up his clothes, mostly. Gives him some bloodiness on his head. Kind of tears up his arm a bit. Not really, though. He, like, bites it. And Superman tells him to stop. He's like, stop, you're gonna hurt him. And after this... Mr. Terrific comes in there, and he turns off the computers that were activating this crack, because they were just assisting in making this crack. And he manages to push it all back into the dimension. And while that is happening, the news stations start talking about Lex and how he was behind everything. And they were saying how they felt bad for Superman. It wasn't his fault. They should give him a second chance. All that. And Lex actually starts crying. He starts crying and he's upset. And then in the end, they arrest him. And all that. It's a great movie. There's some other stuff that happened in between it. The interview with Lois and Superman was good. Superman, it's really Clark, or the mix between the two, kind of. Well, he played on Superman during most of the interview. Not all of it, though. Also, something I really liked is that he likes the Crabjoys, and they played a song by the Crabjoys in the end. I think it was called, like, the Crabjoys theme or something. It's funny. Let me tell you what happens at the end, though. That's what really got me. So, after they raided the Fortress of Solitude, a bunch of the robots got hurt. But they ended up getting fixed. The Fortress of Solitude is kind of fixed. But someone just blasts through the wall. And who is it? It's Supergirl, his cousin. And she's like, "Where's my dog?" It's Krypto. And Krypto hugs her and all that. Well, doesn't really hug her, attacks her. And she just kind of goes away with him, with Krypto. And Clark, Superman, says, she's been getting drunk on other planets because they have red suns, and yellow sun stops you from getting drunk. So she goes to the red sun planets and parties. Which, yeah, I don't like that. So far I don't like Supergirl, but hopefully her movie will be good, because James Gunn did say she'll have a movie. And Krypto is her dog, so yeah. The end credit scenes don't really do anything. Also, when he was getting healed again, they were like, "Do you want to turn on the clip of your parents? It soothes you, right?" And I thought that it was gonna turn on one of his biological parents, and I was like, why would he like that? They're telling him to take over the planet. Why would he like that? And then it's his actual parents. I say that because they actually raised him. And like, it's home videos from them in Smallville, Kansas. And it's just a wholesome scene. It's good. And then it ends with him healing again. The end credit scenes don't really do anything. They're just silly little end credit scenes. One of them's cute. One of them's Krypto and Superman sitting on the moon, and Krypto snuggles with Superman. And then the other one is just Superman and Mr. Terrific talking about the buildings being off. Like, they're slightly off-centered. It's mostly it for the movie. It's starting up this DC universe great. Like, that is a good way to start it off. I really liked Metamorpho. I liked... He's part of the Justice Gang now. He was actually there in the fight in Baravia. He didn't do a ton, though, but he kind of took out some things. Hawkgirl was like, "Oh, he should be on the team." And Guy was like, "Oh, no, he's a weirdo." And he was like, "You guys are part of the Justice Gang, right? I love that name." And then Guy was like, "You're on the team." Because they kept talking about how Justice Gang wasn't a good name, but Guy liked it. That's funny. I liked it a lot. I'm excited for this new DC universe. I might get into some other DC things to know more of the story, because the only other DC movies I've actually really watched are the two Shazams and the Lego Batman. So, I don't really know a ton about DC. I do know about Shazam and Batman, but not really a ton about Batman. So, I think I'm really going to like it. I know the next upcoming movies are going to be Supergirl and Clayface, which is an interesting way to go. I get Supergirl, but Clayface? I'm thinking he's going to go with a horror route, like make it a scary movie about, like, a body horror movie, because those are scary. Like, that would be horrible if you got turned into a mud monster. It could be a good start to Batman, to Gotham, show you the really bad parts of Gotham without Batman. Like, show you the criminal underworld, maybe. Or he's going to go with fantastical Batman villains like Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy or stuff like that. But that's about it for this video. This is the spoiler review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is going to be longer than the spoiler-free review because I didn't have a ton to say for the spoiler-free review. I would recommend going and watching it, unless you already have. Which I think most people who are watching this already have, or you're just weird and like to watch spoiler reviews. I don't like to watch spoiler reviews personally. The most I'll do is watch trailers. That's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm going to do more movie reviews. Thinking about doing a Fantastic Four review when it comes out. That's it. I'll see you guys later.